Hi everyone, Heather Steves here, and today I want to share with you some artist trading cards and a planner page that I made. So I started out with these pages that I got from a thrift shop that are meant to actually store postage stamps. I trimmed it in half, and then I took the washi tape from the Artsy Scenery set, and I decided that I was going to use that on the edge, because once you cut the edge, these pockets are no longer attached on the sides, so that way this washi tape will hold them down. And then I grabbed the page from the Planner Essentials 56, the tickets and tabs set, and it's just a plain square planner page. Because this stuff is so thick, it actually didn't cut through on the bottom, so I just ran my scissors across there and was able to cut it easily. So I pulled out a couple of my stencils, and I ended up deciding to use the Planner Stencils 1, this number 1, and then I wanted to pull out the ink colors that would coordinate with that washi tape. So I just kind of went through my different colors. It was pretty easy to actually find colors that matched nicely, and so once I had those decided, then I could start to ink through the stencil onto the base page. So I just added a little bit of washi tape to hold the stencil down. In the past, I've tried stenciling and just holding the stencil, and then I end up with really bad cramp in my hand from doing that. So this is much easier. And then I grab my blending brushes. I'm just cleaning them off onto some scrap paper just to make sure that I don't have any ink bleeding that's a different color. And then I didn't really have a plan for how to ink these, so I just started at the bottom, adding the first color, and then went ahead and put in the next color, and then the third color, and then just kind of filled in the whole page with those different colors. So I'm actually creating this page based on the January 6th prompt from the Sidekick Saturday prompts from the Elizabeth Craft Planners and Journaling Facebook group. So the prompt was letters, text. So I didn't have a nice stencil that I wanted to use with letters, so that's why I ended up choosing this one that had the numbers on it. And then I'm just finishing up inking this, and I'm just making sure that I'm going over it kind of a second time to not only blend the colors together, but just to darken it up a bit, because I didn't think they were quite dark enough. So I just wanted to make sure that I had enough ink on it so that when I picked up the stencil, I would be happy with the results. And there it is, and I think it actually looks really good. So I'm just tidying up these inks and getting them out of the way, and now I'm going to start to create the artist trading cards. So I gave my surface a quick wipe, and then I grabbed out these punch clock cards that I had from my stash, and I grabbed the dies from the ATC Special Kit, and I cut out those. And now I've grabbed a different stencil this time. It's actually from the Summer Journal Special, and it has just little words on it. So now I'm just using the same colors, and I'm just inking those cards. Sort of the same kind of idea as what I did with the base page. I'm just kind of spreading those colors around so that they kind of appear in two different locations on each one. And so I'm just making sure that I get the nice background onto those cards. We'll just jump ahead here so that you don't have to watch me ink every single one of the cards. Just finishing up the last one there, and then we can move on to actually decorating them. So I cut these cards using the smaller inset die from the ATC set with the stitching on it, and then I used the full-size ATC die to cut these matte layers out of just some purple cardstock. I grabbed this little irregular circle die from the Journal File 2 set, which is actually meant for a wax seal, and I cut out these little circles in pink, and then I grabbed the 2037 alphabet and I cut out some numbers. Next I grabbed stamps CS303 Me Time and CS304 Back in Time, and I just selected the different stamps from that so that I could stamp those on my cards. And you just saw me, what I was doing there was I was just rubbing off any oils that are on the stamps, since I haven't used these ones before. Sometimes in the manufacturing they have oils on them, so you want to make sure that those are not there, otherwise you won't get a very good crisp stamp. So I just had this little tiny ink square in my stash, and I know it's nice and juicy, so I just decided to use it. Probably not the best way to go ahead and stamp a larger stamp like that, but I just grabbed it and it was working for me, so it wasn't a problem. In each one of these cards, I'm just going to put a different stamped image on them. So I'm just taking those from each of those stamp sets and adding them onto the cards. Since there was only 3 of the larger images on those 2 sets, I decided to pull out CS303, which is journal dates and months, and I grabbed the large stamp off of that, and I just used that to stamp on the last card. It just gets part of it on there because it's much bigger, but it actually worked out really well. So since I'm trying to coordinate these cards with the page, I decided to pull out the washi tape, and I'm going to add some washi tape onto the cards as well. I thought it would look nice with a rougher edge, so I ripped the washi in half, and I put it on these 2 cards on the bottom and just trimmed it up with my scissors. So I thought those cards looked okay the way they were, but that the next one I thought I would try and make it actually thicker, so I didn't rip it in half this time. I just ripped the very top edge off of the washi, and then I used that on the bottom of this next card and again trimmed it up. So for this last card, my image was a little bit different on that, so I felt that the washi tape needed to go on the top of that card, so I did the same thing as the previous one and just ripped a little bit off of the one side, and then I used that to put on the top of my card. So even though these cards are going to go on top of the purple bases, I still thought it would be a good idea to ink the edges with the purple ink. So I actually inked them quite a bit more than I normally do when I'm inking edges. So I wanted to make sure that they had a lot of purple around the edge, and it really softened the look of them as well. So of course, once I finished inking the edges of the cards, I wanted to make sure that I inked everything else. So I grabbed my pink ink and I inked the edges of the little circles there, and then I grabbed the letters and I decided to use the blue ink and basically change the color of the letters. So I cut the letters out using the same card as I did for the card bases. But I thought that it would look better with the blue on it instead of just that plain color. So I basically inked over them. I didn't make them a solid blue color. They're a little bit darker on the outsides, and you can still see the yellow through the ink. So I ended up using the numbers because I just thought it would be kind of cute to give each card its own individual number. But I also wanted to put something else on the card, so I grabbed out the CS303 Journal Dates and Months stamp, and I stamped these frames, and then I stamped inside them with the actual date of that prompt, which was January 6th. So once I finished stamping all of those dates on there, I realized that I actually have a matching die to this frame. So then I cut all of those out with the matching die. So once I had them all cut out, then I just grabbed the blue ink again, and then I started inking the edges, and I just kind of kept going until basically the whole card was inked up. It's definitely darker on the outside than it is in the middle, but they basically are now a blue color. So lastly, I just wanted to ink the edges of the base page. So I grabbed the purple ink and I went around that. I don't think it really made a very big difference, but I just thought it might help and make it just look a little bit more finished. Now all that's left to do is to assemble the cards. So I just attached each of the cards onto its base, and then I started to play around with the placement of the other pieces on the cards. I thought that it would look best to have the number on the bottom there. So instead of just going ahead and attaching the pink circle, I decided to put all my numbers onto the pink circles first, and then it would be easier to place them on the card. So after playing around with the placement on the card a little bit, trying to figure out what I liked best, I ended up sticking with the number down on the bottom left, and I ended up on that tag putting the date up on the top right. So I did align the date right to the edge of the card, and then the actual number I decided to overlap and then just trim off. But of course, once I trimmed it, I needed to just ink that edge a little bit just to make it look completely finished. So then I just carried on finishing up each card and putting the number on the bottom left, and then just alternating the date stamp around the top just to coordinate with whatever the stamped image was. So I hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own. Each of the Elizabeth Craft pages has inspiration, and it also has prompts. So the ATC page has prompts, and the art journal page has prompts, and the planner and journaling page also has prompts. So be sure to check it out and join in and post whatever it is that you make using those prompts. Everybody would love to see your work as well. So I thought maybe I still needed to add something more to these cards. I tried a stamped image that I had, a couple of words, but I didn't like it, and I thought after all that it looked good just the way they were. So I started to add them to the pockets. One thing that I will do in the future is put my ATC stamp on the back once I get it, and note down all of the details of that. Next up, I grabbed out my reinforcers. So I grabbed one of the ones from the reinforcement variety pack. I grabbed some blue cardstock, and then I put some double-sided adhesive on that cardstock so that I could easily attach them to my page. So I ran it through my machine like that. Probably with this specific reinforcer, I would not do that again. It's kind of like a gear, so it has a bunch of tiny little holes in it, and the adhesive made it very difficult to get all of those little punch outs out. So I think next time I would just forego adding the adhesive, and I would just use my liquid adhesive to attach them down to my page. It would probably be a lot faster that way. And that completes another project. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and have yourself a wonderful day.